After all, that night, who was waiting in the woods? This was no ordinary crime scene. Seeing this sent shivers down the spines of even the police officers. Their bodies were tied to a tree. Imagine, just close your eyes for a moment and imagine. Think about it. Today is the most romantic day of the year, February 14th, Valentine's Day. There is a strange stillness in the air, but a loudness in your heart. You are young, you are in love, and tonight everything is going to be perfect. You hold your partner's hand, get into the car, and drive to the place where it's just the two of you, far away from the crowds of the world. Can you feel that cold breeze? Can you feel that excitement? But now, imagine that perfect night never ends. That darkness never lifts. Those laughs, those promises, those dreams. Everything turns into horrific scream in a single instant. This isn't a movie script. This is the reality of 1971 that changed the meaning of Valentine's Day forever. Look, the beginning of any horrific tragedy is often very normal. So normal that you can't believe that in the next few hours everything is going to shatter. The story begins in Durham, North Carolina. The year was 1971. You see, the vibe of that era was just different. People wrote letters, talked for hours on landlines, and Valentine's Day didn't just mean expensive gifts, but spending time together. We have two main characters. First is Jesse McBane, a handsome 19-year-old boy, a college student, dreaming of settling down in his life. And on the other side was Patricia Mann, a 20-year-old nursing student. Everyone really liked Patricia. She was studying nursing at Watts Hospital. The two had been dating for quite some time. A perfect couple, just like we often see. Now, February 12, 1971 was a Friday. Valentine's Day was going to fall on Sunday. But the celebrations had started on the weekend itself. Jesse and Patricia made a plan to go to a Valentine's dance being held at the local hospital. Listen, this plan is very simple. Jesse would take his car, pick up Patricia, they would dance, maybe spend a little time alone, and then head back home. No risk, no danger. Jesse's family says he was very happy that evening. He wore his best suit. Patricia was also very excited. When they left home, the weather was very cold. The cold winds of North Carolina were blowing. But here is a small details you should note. When Jesse left home, he told his mother, "I'll be back soon." Patricia had said the same thing at her hostel. They had no interest in staying out late. They just wanted to spend a few moments with each other. Around 6 in the evening, Jesse sits in his car. He picks up Patricia and they head towards that dance party. At that time, no one had any idea that this was going to be their last evening. See, when we look at the cold cases, we think, I wish they hadn't taken that road. But at that time, in that moment, they saw no warning signs. Everything was fine. The music was playing, people were laughing. But as we know, the devil often hides not in the dark corners, but right in the midst of our happiness. And that night, that devil was following them. Now we move to the part, the night where timeline starts to blur. Jesse and Patricia arrive at the dance party. People present there later told the police that both of them looked very happy. No arguments with anyone, no tension. Everything was completely normal. Around 11:30 at night, both of them leave the party. From here on, darkness begins to cloud the story. After 11:30, no one saw Jesse or Patricia alive. The next morning arrives, February 13th. Patricia doesn't arrive at the hospital for her nursing shift. Jesse doesn't reach his home. Initially, friends thought, oh come on, it's young blood. Maybe they went for a trip somewhere, or plans changed. But as the day progressed, the family's heartbeats began to race. This wasn't an era where you could track a location on a mobile phone. If someone is missing, they are just missing. By afternoon, the police received news. A lonely road, which people called Lover's Lane, had a car parked on it. This place was a bit away from the city, like a cul-de-sac, where couples often went for privacy. The police arrived there. The car was Jesse's, but the scene inside the car was strange. The doors were locked. The car keys were missing. But the scariest thing, Jesse and Patricia's coats were lying on the back seat. Now think about it. The freezing cold of February. The temperature outside is freezing. Why would any human take off their coat and leave the car to go outside? And if they were inside the car, where did they vanish? There were no scratch marks on the car. There was no blood. There were no signs of struggle. It seemed as if they had vanished into thin air. But they hadn't vanished. They were right there. Or perhaps they were taken from there. The police started the search. They combed the woods, but nothing was found. One day passed, 2 days passed. Valentine's Day came and went. The day that should have been a day of love had now become a never-ending nightmare for these two families. A full 12 days. Imagine the pain of those 12 days. Neither were they alive, nor were their bodies being found. Just a silence. And then, on February 25th, a surveyor was working in a dense forest nearby. He saw something that would not let him sleep for the rest of his life. That forest area, it was quite far from the city, completely desolate. That is where they were found. Jesse McBane and Patricia Mann. Their bodies were tied to a tree. This was no ordinary crime scene. Seeing this sent shivers down the spines of even the police officers. They were tied to the trunk of the same tree. Their backs were against the tree. Their hands were tied behind them. And around their necks, there were ropes. The scene was so disturbing that I can't tell you all the details. But listen to what is necessary. Their bodies were covered with dry leaves, as if the killer wanted to hide them, or perhaps was he remorseful? When the forensic team examined the bodies, it was revealed that they had been tortured. This was not a quick death, this was a calculated conspiracy. Their clothes were dirty, but not torn. No evidence of sexual assault was found. This fact complicates this case even more. If the motive wasn't rape, if the motive wasn't robbery, because their rings and watches were right there, then what was the motive? Just to kill? The investigation began. And the biggest question before the police was, who took them there? How did they get from Lover's Lane to that forest? Was someone hiding in the back of their car? Or did someone stop them posing as police? Guys, things like DNA tests didn't exist in 1971. The police had to rely entirely on physical evidence and witnesses. And here, there were no witnesses. Only those silent trees that had heard the screams of that night. Let's look at the timeline again to solve this puzzle. Every single minute is precious. 6 p.m. Jesse and Patricia leave their respective hostel and home. Mood? Happy. 9 p.m. They arrive at the hospital dance. Witness saw them. Everything was normal. 11:30 p.m. They leave the dance. This is a confirmed sighting. 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. This is that missing hour. Police believe they went to that lover's lane. Maybe to talk, maybe to spend few moments together. Now here is a twist. That night, around 1:30 a.m., a man living in that area called the police. He said he heard screaming sounds coming from the woods, but the police ignored it. They thought it must be an animal or kids fooling around. Next morning, the car is found. 12 days later, bodies were found. It had rained during those 12 days. Evidence had been wiped away. Tire tracks had washed off. If the police had taken action on that 1:30 a.m. call, then maybe the story would be different today. Now let's come to the evidence, or rather, those bizarre clues the killer left behind. The biggest piece of evidence, the rope. The rope used to tie Jesse and Patricia was not ordinary rope, and the knots that were tied were even stranger. When the police and experts looked at those knots, they were stunned. This wasn't a random knot that you or I would tie. It was very professional. Knots like those used in the military, or perhaps used in a hospital to restrain patients. Remember, Patricia was a nursing student. They were coming from a hospital dance. Did the killer have a connection to the hospital? Second piece of evidence, the car. The car was locked. The keys were missing. This means that after taking them into custody, the killer locked the car with a cold mind. He was in no hurry. He was in control. And the third piece of evidence, the woods. That place was so deep inside that no stranger could go there. The killer knew every inch of that area. He was a local. He probably lived right there or often come there for hunting. But the scariest thing in all of this was that both were forced to watch each other die. This hatred, this savagery, it feels like a personal grudge. But Jesse and Patricia didn't have any enemies. So who was he finally? It's been 50 years, but to this day, no one has been arrested. But there are many theories. Let's take a look at the four biggest theories. Theory number 1, the jealous ex-lover. This is the most common theory. Did Patricia have an old lover who hated Jesse? Or was there someone else in Jesse's life? Police questioned their friends, but no such psycho ex came to light. Still, the kind of violence seen there points towards a crime of passion. Theory number 2, the fake police officer. This theory seems the most plausible to me. Imagine you're in a car with your girlfriend on a lonely road. Suddenly, a torchlight hits your eyes. Someone in uniform comes out and says, "Get out of the car." You aren't scared. You get out of respect. You lock your car. This could be the reason why there were no signs of struggle there. They probably sat in the killer's car willingly, thinking he was taking them to the police station. Theory number 3, the doctor. Remember those rope knots? Some experts believe those knots were exactly like those used in surgical procedures or mental hospitals. Was the killer a doctor or staff member from the same hospital where they went to dance? Did he follow them from the party itself? Theory number 4, the serial killer. In that era, there was a terror of the Zodiac killer. Although this doesn't seem like a Zodiac's work, it could be work of a serial killer who targeted couples. The monster of the woods. Someone who was just out hunting, and unfortunately Jesse and Patricia crossed his path. But sadly, none of this theory could be proven. After this incident, the city of Durham changed. Where people used to roam carefully before, now doors started closing as soon as the sun went down. Lovers' Lane became deserted. Young couples stopped going to lonely places. We cannot even imagine what Jesse and Patricia's family went through. Jesse's father spent his entire life trying to find his son's killer. He kept making rounds of the police station, but got nothing. This wasn't just the death of two people. It was the death of an entire city's innocence. People understood that monsters don't just exist in stories. They are walking among us. in our neighborhoods, on our streets. Now we stand in today, meaning 2026. Will this case ever be solved? A few years ago, the police reopened this case. They sent that rope for modern DNA technology, test DNA. The hope was that perhaps between the layers of the rope, a cell of killer skin, some sweat might be found. According to report, they have found some DNA. But will that DNA match any suspect? This is still a question. Even today, on every Valentine's Day, the old folks of that area remember Jesse and Patricia. That tree might not be there anymore, but those woods still hold that secret buried within. Love and death. These are the two biggest truths of life. But when these two meet together on the same day, in the same moment, a story is created that chills you to the bone. Jesse McBane and Patricia Mann just wanted each other's company that night. They went out to celebrate love, but fell victim to hatred. Today, when you celebrate Valentine's Day or spend time with your special someone, definitely remember those two young souls for a moment, because they didn't get the chance to complete their story. This mystery remains unsolved even today. The killer is probably dead, or perhaps somewhere today grown old, counting the last days of his life, keeping that secret buried in his chest. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button and definitely subscribe to our channel. In the next episode, with another very mysterious case, we will meet again very soon.